Good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris and this morning you join me in my shed, or as it's been more lovingly dubbed, the shed of shit. This morning we're going to be running through the modifications and changes that I made to the Kawasaki ER5 during its restoration over about 18 months. The shed of shit then is a 10 by 7 foot shed full of all the normal stuff you'd expect to find, garden stuff, freezer, shelves. I'll do a quick tour if I may. To my right you have shelving, a tool stack, all the plugs and that need to be used to make everything work in here. To my left, more shelving with spare parts, tools, and in front of me, the Kawasaki ER5. So in today's video, we're going to pull the bike out of the shed to get a bit more room, because you can't swing a cat in here. Run through from front to back all the little changes and modifications that I made that in my eyes have made it a much more rideable, much more usable machine. Some of them are small things, some of them are quite large items, but in my eyes, all good. So we'll pull the bike out and we'll get to doing that straight away. Right, okay, the first item on the agenda were the brakes. That's shit. Okay, so the first thing we changed on the bike was the braking system down here. It is the original caliper, but I stripped it down, cleaned it all up, fresh pads, fresh fluid, and a new green braided line. Much more positive feel under braking. The original, frankly, was shit, so it needed doing. The brake's only a single disc setup anyway, so it's never going to be brilliant, but it does give a lot more positive feel, especially under hard braking. Also, while we're down this end of the bike, wheel bearings have been replaced, front and rear. We took them out, there was nothing to suggest they were about to fail, but we had it all apart, so why not? So fresh wheel bearings, front and rear. Longevity, basically. They won't need to be done for a very long time again. Moving up, we've got clear lenses on the front and rear indicators. I chose to stick with the originals because they give a nice bright light. I didn't want some of these aftermarket ones. Some of them are terrible. You operate them and you can barely see that they're on at all. The original headlight was about as bright as a candle in a wind tunnel, so that's been changed for a new ultra bright road legal bulb. And the clocks as well. I've upgraded the lights inside the clocks to bright LEDs. I'm still a bit unsure about these, to be honest, because in night driving, or night riding should I say, they are a bit too bright, so I may end up switching those back to stock. Moving around, we've got fresh fluid in the brake reservoir at the top, a clock, don't know why really, but a clock nonetheless, and a new set of mirrors. The originals were very heavy and they did vibrate quite a lot when you got up to around 60-70 miles an hour, so these ones are a lot better. I do have to fold them to get the thing into the shed because they are a little bit wider. The original ones sit up here quite a lot. These are sort of wider than the bars, so new grips. The old ones were heated. Not going to be using this in the winter, so I didn't see the point in keeping them. So new, just a standard set of grips. Okay, moving down, the radiator on the bike when it arrived was knackered, frankly, so I didn't want to pay the frankly extortionate 283 quid that Kawasaki were charging. So this is an aftermarket unit from China, I believe, but it does the job. It fits really well. So for anyone who's in the same sort of situation, definitely go for one of these. They're about £80 shipped from China. Obviously the side panels have been painted, the fan shroud has been painted, and another thing that I've removed, there's an air injection system on these engines, which I don't know if the camera can see, just under there. I've blanked it off on this one. It's for emissions, frankly. I wasn't really bothered about emissions on a bike that's going to do 1,000 miles a year, so I've taken that off. Makes the whole top of the engine bay a lot tidier, so they've been painted in there as well. These little caps that you need are notoriously difficult to get hold of, so if you find a set on eBay and for sort of 20-25 quid, snap them up, because if you don't, someone else will. The whole thing has been jetted, so the carbs have been jetted, it's been dynoed, it's been set up for the exhaust system, which I'll talk about in a minute. You'll see down here, this panel I need to redo. This was because when I was first setting the bike up and first trying to start it up after so long, it fired, and then I noticed I had a monumental fuel leak. When I say monumental, it was everywhere. There was fuel on the floor, peeing down the frame. It was on me, it was in my eyes, it was horrendous. So if you're going to do this and you're going to try and set a bike up after a long period of time, don't put a full tank of fuel in it. Run it off an auxiliary fuel tank. A rookie mistake I made there. Moving back, we have up the top a new seat cover. Again, this is from eBay. You can pick these up for about 60-70 quid. Very difficult to fit. A few choice words were said when that was being done. Moving around this side of the bike now, the exhaust system is a full stainless kit from Black Widow. Very, very loud, even with the baffle in. Okay, on the subject of the exhaust, going back to the exhaust, we'll start it up, see how it sounds. I'm quite happy with the exhaust note of this one, but some people may want a quieter exhaust note, so a longer can will give a less aggressive sound. So here goes. Here we've got a nice set of stainless steel Hagon shocks. The original ones on the bike, although they did work, were well past the sell by date. These ones give a much better feel on the road, much more planted for the rear end. The link for all these things as I'm running through them will be in the description of the video, so if you want to pick any of them up, they will be in there. Nothing's been sponsored, obviously. This is all stuff that I bought with my own money. Moving to the back of the bike, again we've got a clear set of lenses for the indicators and a clear LED unit for the rear tail light as well. I just think it finishes the bike off. It makes it look really, really nice in my opinion. Not everyone's cup of tea, I get, but for me it works. Down here we've got a stainless DID front and rear chain and sprocket kit with some nice gold bolts. Again, maybe not to everyone's cup of tea, but it certainly works for me at least. The fuel tap, or the fuel taps on these bikes I should say, are notorious for failing. So this has had a full rebuild kit put on it. Again, if you're picking one of these up second hand, definitely worth doing, because at some point in time it will fail. That being said as well, the regulator rectifier on these bikes are common failures, so if you're picking one of these up and it's got no service history like this bike, definitely replace that as well. Another thing we did while the engine was out of the frame was have the sump off, purely just to see what kind of condition that the bottom half of the engine was in. Sump was off, it was filled with gunk and all sorts of nasty stuff, so that was all cleaned and sort of new gasket and everything and redone. Valve timing's also been done, they've been set to spec. Again, if you've got one of these engines apart, the coolant pipes in this bike are set in such a way that to do the valve timings you've got to drain the whole system and take the coolant pipes off. So if you've got one of these engines apart, do the valve timings, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. Okay, so the only last thing to mention really is the elephant in the room, is the paint job. The thing used to be red. I didn't pay to have it done professionally, because frankly that was going to blow the budget well out of the water for this machine and what I wanted to pay. I did it myself with rattle cans and masking tape, and I just noticed the camera started dodging it. Smooth. Yeah, so I did this myself. You might want to go and clean your shoe off. I did this myself. The finish is far from perfect, as you probably see on the camera. I don't know if it picks it up well enough, but it's certainly doable, certainly usable I should say, for what I want. Maybe I'll look at getting it done professionally further down the line, but we'll see. But no, that is in essence my Kawasaki ER5 modifications. I'm really pleased with it. I think it looks really good for someone who's never done this before. I couldn't be happier. If you're thinking of giving this a go, you don't need a huge great workshop and thousands of pounds worth of tools. All you need is the will to do it and a small shed and the time. You know, time is the biggest, most expensive factor with this. 18 months it took from start to finish. That's with working full time and with a young family, so it is doable. This bike isn't for everyone. There are certainly better machines out there if you're going to do a restoration, but for me this was a good all-rounder. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, there is more content on the way very shortly, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.